Okay, good morning everyone. We're happy to see you at the Retain for Release webinar. The webinar will be held by me, Vanessa Lisek, and I'm the International Sales Manager here at GWAVA EMEA, and my colleague Gert.
Yeah, good morning everyone. My name is Gert Lantinger, and I'm the Technical Director at GWAVA EMEA, and I will do the technical presentation later on.
Just a few quick facts about the webinar. It's in listen-only mode. So if you have any questions, then you can use the chat window, and there will be time at the end of the webinar, and then we will see and we will address all the questions that you might have. Furthermore, you will also receive the presentation after the webinar and also the recording that we're doing, and you will receive the recording as well. So just a quick information about GWAVA for some of you who maybe don't know that much about us yet. Our company was founded a bit more than 10 years ago in Montreal, Canada, where we still have our headquarters, and the EMEA office also exists for a bit more than 10 years in Ahaus in Germany, in the northwestern part. And we have more than 5,000 customers in over 60 countries in the world. We have also a partner network of more than 300 authorized and premium partners. And as well, we have some strategic alliances with Microsoft, with Novell, BlackBerry, also quite new Samsung, for example. And so we're working with some reliable partners in addition to our partner network. Our offices, as I just mentioned, the headquarters is in Canada. We also have offices in the USA, Germany, India, and in Great Britain. And our main focus is on unified archiving, messaging security, and email management. So basically, we're taking care of digital communication. And the reason for today's webinar is that that Retain 4 is out, our product for unified archiving, the possibility to actually have one container for mail and mobile communication, social media, and also your web searches. And if you have the result is basically if you have one place to store all your business communication, then it's archiving 2.0. What exactly that means, I'm going to explain in a bit more detail. Something that, because that is something we're focusing on at the moment. So archiving 2.0 with Retain is basically, or archiving in general is gathering information, or it always has been about gathering information to make the information available. For example, several thousand years ago, you already had libraries, for example, where all that information that was available back then was gathered. And then when technology came in the picture, then of course with IT, it was easier to gather this information. It was less space required, and you could basically store everything. But with a growing amount that could be stored, you of course also had the problem that it was more difficult to handle. And so nowadays, if you archive something, then it's usually because you hope that you do not have to use it again, because it usually has negative associations, because it's usually needed only during an audit or during litigation when you have to go to court, for example. So Retain wants to take this a step further, and or if you want to put it that way, to go back to the roots, because we want to make the information available for the people, for the employees, for their daily work, to be able to actually gain a benefit from that information. So archiving 2.0 is what we call this. It's first of all unified archiving, speaking of all the information being available in one container. Then because of that, the employee productivity can be increased, and you can gain further business insights from your information. And it's also not only possible to preserve your information, but also to monitor, especially with regards to social media. So to speak a bit more about unified archiving, we have some statistics here that 95% of the companies plan to use business communication tools instead of personal meetings. So more and more information is not exchanged face-to-face, but you have email, of course, which is already a vital part of today's business routine. But the number or the amount of information shared on mobile devices, text messaging, web meetings, etc., is also growing. And so it's basically, if you want to make sure that you can still manage all that information with regards to the development that is taking place, you need to have a tool, a solution that can actually handle all these sources of information. And that is what retain and unified archiving is about. Furthermore, having all the information in one place makes searching information much faster, of course. There is a McKinsey report that found out that employees spend about 19% of the average work week searching and gathering information. That is 1 day per week that every employee in your company spends searching for information that he or she needs for the daily work. And so if you have a tool as Retain with a strong search functionality, then it will be quicker to find what they are looking for. And then, of course, you can actually decrease the time spent on searching, and they can actually focus on what they're supposed to be doing. Furthermore, if you have all that information in one place, you don't only know where to find everything, but of course you can also link that information. So there is this graphic and a trend analysis from CIO. It's a German IT magazine and online portal, and they just recently evaluated some of the top technology trends for the next 3 years, so 2016 till 2018. And some of the top issues were connectivity, so connecting all the information, analytics, because as I said, if you have everything in one place, then you can actually gain additional insights, additional information from that, and APIs. And that is also something that Retain can do. We can connect various sources of business communication, and therefore it allows you to gain additional business intelligence and to increase the possibility or to increase the number of sources for your information. We have an API with Retain 4 that actually allows you to include further solutions, business solutions that you already use in your company, to have that information also available in your Retain. And the last thing that I mentioned before was preserving the information and monitoring, especially with regards to social media. Basically, every company has a Facebook page nowadays that is used to, of course, for marketing, for communication with customers and to shape the company image, but it's also used to communicate with customers, with partners. And as this US Airways example shows, where they apologize for something that was shared and which was considered inappropriate. And there have been similar things going on in Germany as well. And probably a lot of companies are having problems nowadays to make sure that really everything that is shared on their public Facebook page, that this really complies with company standards, because it may result in pretty bad publicity if employees don't really think what they're posting. So you actually need to be aware what your employees are posting, and you can also need to be in charge, and you need to be able to control what people post via their Facebook page, especially with regards to your company. And that is something that Retain can also do. We can store the information that has been exchanged on Facebook or instant messaging, for example, and it's also possible to have kind of a 4I principle, so that posts have to be acknowledged by a supervisor, for example, before they actually go online. So that allows you to secure the image of your company. And this vision that GWAVA has with Retain, and especially with Retain 4, is something that was also acknowledged not only in the latest Gartner report, so we were listed there 2014 and again 2015, especially approving of our vision of this unified approach. And it was also acknowledged by the Infotech Research Group, where they, in their latest report, they ranked Retain as a champion and also awarded us the best overall value in with regards to archiving in a business environment. But I don't want to keep you waiting much longer. This is just a few things about the general approach and the direction that we're going with our product Retain 4. But you're probably all waiting what's new, and therefore I'm going to hand over to my colleague Gerd, who will go into detail here.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. Let's have a look at what is actually new in Retain 4. So first of all, the web interface has been updated. It's much more intuitive for the user, so easier to work with it. And the search has been changed a lot. So there's a new single line search and also a advanced search. And if the user starts typing, he will get instant results. So while typing, Retain will also come up with suggestions, and the results in the item list will also be highlighted, so the user will exactly see which items has the keywords. For some in-depth searching, it's also possible to use regular expressions while searching. And so in the background, the index engine has been updated. So during an installation or also during the upgrade from Retain 3 to Retain 4, you will be asked if you want to use the updated engine, and there's the choice between the standard engine, which is local to the Retain server, or if you want to use the high performance indexer. And the second one can or will be deployed over multiple servers in order to offer high availability, or also to increase the maximum amount of index documents. So one index server can hold 2 billion index documents. If that's not enough for your environment, then you can just expand the system with a second index server. Then we also added message system deletion. So within the mail system, up to the previous version, Retain would not delete items in the mail system while archiving. So that was a task you had to do on the mail system side. But now with Retain 4, it's also possible that Retain starts to delete items, if they are archived, of course, from the mail system. And then we have the native support for ICAS technology. That is a technology that offers warm functionality on top of your existing storage. So let's have a closer look at the new interface. First of all, I would like to show you the integration in Outlook. So if you open Outlook and the Retain plugin has been deployed, you will see a new tab called Retain. If you click on that, you will have several new buttons in there. Let's start on the left side, Retain Download. The Retain Download option directly corresponds to the new account that is showing up in Outlook. So you have your normal, regular mail account from the Exchange server, and then the plugin will add a Retain Download area. And this account will have a part of your Retain archive. Within the configuration of the plugin, you can specify how much data will be downloaded into this account. So, for instance, you could take 6 months, the last 6 months of email from Retain and store that in the Retain Download account. This information is then also offline available, so if the user is traveling with his laptop, he can also access this part of his archive. And the Retain Download button will just get the actual data from the Retain server. Then there is a Retain Search button. If you click on that, you can type the keywords, specify the time range, and then there is also an advanced search. So if you're searching for something where you know the subject and you know the sender, then you can specify that exactly in this search. For a quick search, you can just type a keyword down here and click on Quick Search, and it will start to ask the Retain server for items that have the keyword news. The results will also be displayed in the Retain Download area in the folder called Retain Search Results. And it's also possible, if you have items in the Retain Download area, to drag and drop them into your mailbox. So recovering or restoring an item from your archive is very easy. Then we also have the Launch Retain option. If we hit that button, the web interface will be opened, single sign-on, so no need to log in here. And we are immediately in the new search, the one-line search interface. And I can start typing here, and you can see it's suggesting options with retain, retention, and then I can click on one of the options. And at the right side, you see all the items that have retain or retain for in it. And you also see the unified archiving. So there are items from LinkedIn, from Yahoo, from Google, from YouTube searches, from Twitter, that all have the word retain or retain for in it. And if I scroll down a bit, you can also see email items. The items that are found, what's also new here is that we show the amount of hits. So for this search, there are 32,000 hits. There's also a paging, so 25 items per page, and then you can scroll through the pages or directly go to the, for instance, third page. So that makes it easier to go through the long list of results. On the left side, it's also specified by different criteria like attachment name. So if I know for sure that the search word is in an attachment, I can limit the amount of results by clicking on that. And of course I can specify more details like the date range. I know that I received this item last month, so I can specify a from and a to date. For searches by an auditor that is searching over multiple email accounts, he will have or he will find double results, and for that there is a button over here that is also new, remove duplicate records. Then so the duplicates will be removed from the results. That makes it easier to go through the results. Yeah, that is in fact the user interface. There's also an advanced search. If the user wants to specify exactly a subject and he knows the sender, he can do it in the advanced search. I would like to quickly go over to the admin interface. So I'm logging out as Gert Lantinger, and I will be logging in as a admin. And so this is the administrative interface, and let's have a look at some new settings. If we are go to the profile, then the profile normally describes which items are being archived. And in the core settings, there's a new option: delete archived messages from your messaging system. That was the new feature I just mentioned in the presentation. Of course, 3 days is not a good value for a productive environment. This is used here in this demo environment, but a good value would be something like 365 days for 1 year, to keep the messages for 1 year in Exchange or in the mail system, and remove them after 365 days. Let's go over to the server configuration. What is new over here is the index area looks a bit different because of the new high performance indexer. You can see the amount of indexed documents, and if you scroll down, you can also see which item types can be or are indexed by the retain indexer. So all the normal formats like PDF, attachments, Excel sheets, PowerPoint presentations, and so on, they are all indexed. Vanessa also mentioned the REST API. That's also exposed in the interface. So down here you can see it must be licensed, and there are already partners that developed integrations between, in this case of COC, they created an integration with SharePoint, and as you can see here, with this license they are able to manage retain. They can insert records in retain, but they can also read items from retain, and in the future they will also be allowed to search in retain. So here are some very nice possibilities for partners that would like to integrate either their own products or products from other vendors with retain. The documentation is now online available, and it's on the upper left. If you click on documentation, it will go online and get the information from there. Down here, the proxy is currently blocking my access. Then in the past, we had the tools all in the download package. We changed that. So now the download package of retain is smaller, and the plugins and tools can be downloaded from the tools area. And so here you will find the current versions of your Outlook plugin, GroupWise client plugins, tools for the Android devices, migration tools for coming from other archiving solutions, import tools to migrate PSD files or GroupWise archives into retain, and also the publisher in order to publish data from retain to an offline bundle with a viewer, which can then be handed over to an auditor, a lawyer, a former user, different scenarios here. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. Let's talk about the retain for system requirements. So the configuration is quite the same as with the retain 3.5. You have a retain server. It is connected to a database, to a storage, and it has an index for the searching options. Then the retain worker is connected to the messaging system, no matter if this is an Exchange environment, Office 365, group-wise. The retain worker will connect to the messaging system and is responsible for archiving the data to the retain server. So the requirements are, in terms of operating system, the server can be a Microsoft Windows Server 2008 R2, 2012 or 2012 R2. You can also use Linux, so a SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 11 with the different service packs, but also SP4 is supported. Open Enterprise Server can be used. Then on the database side, we have 4 different options. You can use Microsoft SQL Server 2008, 2012 and 2014, MySQL 5.5 or 5.6, PostgreSQL 9.0 and 9.1, and Oracle 10 or 11 are supported. And then the storage options, you can of course use local disks, but also a XAN, a NetApp, EMC Centera, or the new storage option is ICAS. Hardware specifications, so the retain server should have a processor with 3 GHz or more. Quad core is recommended. The memory, the requirements in terms of memory are increased in comparison to retain 3. So 8 GB is the absolute minimum, and our recommendation would be to assign 12 GB to the retain server. Additional requirements, so in the past retain 3 was running with Java 1.6. That has been changed, so now we are running with Java 1.8. You need Apache or IIS, and Tomcat 7 is also required. Yeah, and then data sources, from where can retain require data, get emails, get different types of messaging. Well, that can be Microsoft Exchange. It can also be Office 365, Exchange Online, of course, Novell GroupWise, Google Apps, BlackBerry, Android, and iOS for the mobility space. And then there's a whole list of items regarding social, so Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Microsoft Lync, which is called Skype for Business nowadays, and then we have Microsoft Jammer, Google Talk and Hangout, Yahoo Messenger, AOL Messenger, then a protocol called XMPP, which is used by Jabber. And then in the search area, we support searches on Google, Bing, Yahoo, YouTube and Wikipedia. So these searches can also be archived in retain. And then I would quickly cover the retain for upgrade. So if you have an existing retain 3 server, the upgrade is in fact downloading the new package of Retain 4 and run the installation. But since the requirements are a bit higher, we need to check if everything is up to speed. So what you need as a basis is Retain 3.5 or 3.5.1, and you should also check the storage, because it will be the requirement there will be increased due to the new index. I already said that the RAM should be 12 gigabyte. So if your current server has maybe 6, then that should be upgraded. Before you start the upgrade, please visit licenses.guava.com with your validation key and download already the Retain 4 license, the PEM file, so that after the installation you can immediately upload the new license file to the Retain server. Yeah, then you should of course upgrade each server that has some components of Retain. So Retain server doesn't have the worker, but the worker is located on another server, maybe on another site in a subsidiary. Then you should also upgrade these servers. You should look at the partitions. How much free space is there left on system partition? So Retain, when it's Retain 4, if it starts, it's checking if the system partition, or in Linux the root partition, has more than 10 gigabyte of free space. If that's not the case, it will not start. So our recommendation would be to increase the size of the system partition to 50 gigabyte. Then the data partition, this is the partition that holds the archive. That should have at least 20 gigabytes, but yeah, of course it will grow over time, so I would plan with much more as 20 gigabyte. The Retain server should have internet access, and then it will, during the installation, automatically download Java 8 or 1.8 from the internet and install it. We already have a couple of customers that upgraded already to Retain 4. To mention a few, there is Thomas and Piron from Belgium, then City of Sevilla in Spain, and a Swiss company for pool cleaner robots called Marina. They all already upgraded successfully to Retain 4. And then I would like to hand over the mic back to Vanessa, and she will tell you some stuff about what is coming.
Okay, thank you very much, Gerd. Yeah, the 2016 has just started, and GWAVA is of course happy to have released Retain 4, but we're not done yet. So I would like to give you a brief overview of what is coming up next. That will be for, the one thing will be Reload for Retain. That is an integrated backup solution for Retain. So you will be able to actually have a backup of the data that is archived with Retain, and it's integrated because it really addresses the architecture of Retain. So this is planned for the first quarter already. So we'll keep you updated on that as well. And another thing that we're currently working on is a cloud offering. So if you wish to have Retain as a cloud service, or maybe just have a second Retain server for your company, then we're working on a cloud offering that will allow you to have your data hosted as well, and that is also expected to be available towards the end of the first quarter still. So we're currently preparing the data center, etc. So we'll soon be able to provide you with more information. And that's basically it for now. Now we have reserved some time for questions and we will be happy to answer. So please type anything you would like to know in the chat window, and we will then address anything that you might want to know in more detail.
Okay, I see a couple of questions regarding the Outlook plugin, and the question is if the same functionality is also available for GroupWise. That's not the case. There is, of course, a plugin for the GroupWise client, and that's the part, the retain launch. So if you hit the button, the web interface will be opened, single instance, single sign-on, and you can immediately start searching. But it's not like an Outlook with an additional account. So the retain download will not show up in GroupWise. You're welcome. And then there is a question about the database. Must the database be converted while upgrading to retain 4? So the database will not be upgraded, or it's not needed to upgrade it to a newer version. I just mentioned in the presentation which versions are supported. So if you have an older version of retain that supported, let's say, MySQL 5.0, then you should upgrade before you go to retain 4. But if you're already on, let's say, MySQL 5.5 or 5.6, then you're just fine. So what will be upgraded during the upgrade to retain 4 is the retain index. So and the migration of the index, that can take a couple of days. But in the meantime, the users can already work with the retain 4 web interface. Only the new search will not be available until the index migration is finished. And then there's a question about GroupWise 2014 R2. That is also supported by retain 4. If you're looking for requirements and supported systems, it's always good to go to support.guava.com, and then on the left side you have the individual products, and then you just click on retain, and then there is an option, a bullet point with requirements. Then there's another question about the GroupWise plugin. So the GroupWise plugin is also available. If you go to Tools within retain 4, then you can just download the latest version of the plugin, and that will offer the launch retain option. So if you click on the button, it will immediately open the web UI, and the user can immediately start searching. And what might also be good to know for the GroupWise users, that there is an option by using the retain stubbing server without actually stubbing really in the mail system. You can offer the user that if they are searching in GroupWise, in the GroupWise client, that they also search over their retain archive. There is a knowledge base article about that. So yeah, that's very convenient for the users, searching from within the GroupWise client in the retain archive.
Okay, so we will stay here for a bit, but of course the next steps for you should be to check out the resources about Retain 4, and you can of course contact your GWAVA partner if you have any questions, if you would like to plan an update, and then make sure to get Retain 4, and we're of course always looking for your feedback. As I said, if there are any more questions, we will be online for a bit more, so feel free to stay here and type in any more questions if there are any. And yeah, for now, we would like to say thank you for taking the time to attend the webinar. We hope that it was worthwhile, and we look forward to staying in touch with you.